baby. It's been a long time since I've done one of these tier lists. I'm gonna have to razz it. Hold on. I'm wearing my Bengals hat and my Kentucky football shirt just because I believe in paying for myself, and my weekend last weekend where the Bengals and Kentucky both lost sucked. So I just want to let you guys know, even in the lowest moments, I rep my teams. All right, I think the last time I did a map tier list was with Jay on the Mayhem channel years ago, dude. Those, I will say, doing tier lists with Jay was probably the most fun part of that era of Overwatch for me. It was a great time, Jay. I hope you see this. Hope you're doing well, brother. I missed the tier list. But let's do a map tier list. I have not done an updated one since since Overwatch 2. I really haven't. So let's just get right into the nitty-gritty. I'm going to be rating the maps today. Let's go ahead and get on it. So I think we're going to say this is Throne of Anubis, not Temple of Anubis, the new Clash map that came out. I'm going to put it in C tier, to be honest. Like, look, I'm not trying to hate on Clash as a mode, but it just feels like I'm in the blender constantly. It's very hard to take angles and contest the right high grounds. And trying to push third on Clash, when you like push their spawn on Clash, is so difficult to do. I hate to blame the maps for that, but the maps just, like, I can't. Hannah Oka is much better. For me, Throne of Anubis is C tier. I can't rate it higher than that right now. It's just too much like it's just like, it's like two bulls got put in a hallway and they're just running down mid at each other the whole game. So yeah, now we have Blizzard World. You know, to be honest, I don't really mind playing Blizzard World too much. I think it's a solid map. I think attacking can get a little frustrating at times because it seems like there's always a high ground that's very difficult to contest, especially if they go like Widow or something. Like, you have to pick Sombra as a flanker to go across the map and contest some of these people. But it's a good looking map. Again, for Throne of Anubis, like, visually, I would say it's like S tier. Like that big thing they got in the back looks gorgeous. It just, like, you know, I'm rating this mostly off how it plays, but I definitely will give some bonus points for how it looks and the aesthetic and stuff. So maybe I put Blizzard World in B tier. I don't ever load, you know what, I'm gonna put Blizzard World in B tier because I would say B plus. I don't ever load into Blizzard World. I'm like, oh my god, I got Blizzard World. But you know, it's like, oh, okay, I got Blizzard World. It's not the worst map, but it's not the best map either. Okay, Oasis, oh my god, I am old. I'm getting old. Actually, don't quote me on that. I'm in my prime. And there's gonna be some people that clip this and put this in Discord and send it to me. You know who you are. I'm in my prime, and you can deal with that. Okay, in my prime. Okay, I was born for this era. But Busan. Okay, good morning. Wake up, smell the coffee, Sam. Busan's a good map. I like all 3 points. Mecha Base is fun. All of them, they just play well, you know. I never loaded into Busan and I'm like, oh man, Busan sucks. No, I like Busan. I think it plays well. It's pretty. It's cool. I like it. There's a variety of different play styles each map kind of allows for. So I think really they nailed Busan. Shout out Busan. We love you. And there's karaoke machines in Spawn. So, Circuit Royale. Well, it's not as bad as Havana. But it's not good either, man. I mean, the map doesn't allow for many play styles. It is pretty, but dude, it's like, okay. You know what playing on Circuit Royale reminds me of? I'm going to tell you all a little story, okay? Obviously, I grew up in Kentucky. My buddies were big into airsoft, and I had this one buddy named Keaton, but we called him Skeeter, okay? And we would go out to my buddy's farm in Woodford County, and we'd just play airsoft as we were younger, okay? We all had to sign forms and everything, and Skeeter, for whatever reason, thought it would be a fun idea for him to run. And Skeeter was a big old boy. Like, Skeeter was a big boy, okay? He was a big boy. He thought it'd be funny if he ran down like this area and we all surrounded him and just shot him with airsoft guns. Now, I didn't partake in this one. I was like, Keaton, I'm not just gonna blindly shoot you for no reason with an airsoft gun. I'm not doing it. My other buddies decided to do it. And so Skeeter ran straight down mid and got lit up like a Christmas tree, man. And he laughed about it. He thought it was really funny. But that's what it feels like to play on Circuit Royale. It feels like you're Skeeter running straight down mid, getting shot with airsoft guns from every angle imaginable. It just sucks. You're just fish in a barrel, man. There's not very many gameplay options. It's just a giant blender. Shout out Skeeter. Hope you're doing well, Keaton. Good, you know, I hope live streaming you. It's been a while since I talked to him, but, you know, rest in peace, Jay. He was a good buddy of Jaylen's as well. But yeah, so Circuit Royale, just bad. Looks good, but bad, in my opinion. Paris, probably the worst. Oh, wait, is that Colosseo or is that Paris? That's Colosseo. What the guys, I seriously need my glasses so bad. I know people be like, Sam, where are your glasses? I lost them at a collegiate land, and I can't see, apparently. I'm not getting old. I don't want to hear it. Colosseo is B tier, I would say. It's much better since they removed the glass. Sometimes pushing up onto those high grounds. Like, this is a common theme that they did with Overwatch 2 maps. There's always these high grounds on really slow moving objective points where you just get drilled that you can't, like, access. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. And there's a lot of those in the Overwatch 2 maps, which we're going to start talking about here in a minute. But yeah, so Colosseo B tier. I think the rework helped it out a lot. Mid B tier. I load into Colosseo now. I'm like, okay, I got Colosseo. It could have been better, could have been worse, but I'm not tripping on this. All right. Dorado. Man, Dorado was better in 6v6. Samito always thinking about the 6v6. The reason why I say that is, like, when you had 2 tanks and there was more options for mobility and, like, space control, the high grounds on Dorado weren't as oppressive. But now, like, especially pushing first, like, that map was just not designed for 5v5. It just wasn't. So, like, I'm gonna, traditionally, I would rate Dorado in A tier. I'm going to put it in, like, B tier now, maybe even C tier. It's just, it's permanent high grounds, right? And without a second tank to help control that space, the angles are way more oppressive, and that, it's not fun to be Skeeter. It's not fun to be Skeeter running down mid, getting shot from high grounds. Like, your hero options become much more limited, and if you don't have the right tank, you are Skeeter. Okay, I'll tell you that. You are Skeeter Smith. Like, you're getting drilled, dude. So yeah, Dorado's going to be B tier. Eichenwald, I actually like Eichenwald. I think Eichenwald's A tier. Pushing second can be a bit difficult sometimes because, again, like, those high grounds can be a bit oppressive, and the rotate in the castle can be hard. But first and third are both great points. It's fun to attack on. It's fun to defend on. Halloween, Eichenwald is really, really cool. So yeah, hey, I'm going to say Eichenwald going to be A tier. I'm a big fan of Eichenwald. Man, you know, I think Gibraltar, it really sucks, man. To me, Gibraltar suffered the same thing as Dorado did. Gibraltar in Overwatch 1 is a map I would have in A tier, but I have to put it in D tier or B tier now because, again, it's so coin flip. Like, if you don't get a tank player that plays like a diva or like a monkey, like, I've gotten too many queen players on Gibraltar, and it's just not been fun, dude. It's just not been fun. I do like the map. But I would say in Overwatch 2, it's fallen down to B tier for me, and I think I probably would have put it in A tier previously. But yeah, those long high ground lanes can be very difficult to deal with in this format where it's much harder to close distances. So yeah, B tier for Gibraltar. Hannah, is this Hanaoka or is that Hanamura? That looks like Hanamura. I'm not gonna rate Hanamura because we're gonna rate Hanaoka instead. Havana. I'm so glad that these maps that were already super, super awful to play in 6v6 got a couple new cars and barrels to pave the way to make sure the sight lines weren't oppressive for certain long-range heroes that are unanswerable. Yeah, you know, I think Havana's needed a rework for a long time. Like, especially, like, look, first point, we'll go point by point. There's not many options to wrap around, right? I think the best Overwatch maps are the maps that give you a variety of choices to explore, to create opportunity. You'll notice that common theme here. The maps that I'm rating lower are very one-dimensional, choky, and just like blender, right? The maps I'm rating high offer a lot of different variety and options where you as a player get the opportunity to create and choose the path that you want to take. Havana is the perfect example of what not to do with map design. You don't have options. It's a giant, like, you know, 2 teams button heads constantly. It's nearly impossible to force an angle. The Widow sight lines are very difficult to answer at high-level play. Second point is a bit of a blender as well. And then third point is one of the worst, if not the worst point in Overwatch history. It baffles me that they haven't tried things like making the flank on the last fight on third point offense be on the left side of the map, so it's way more accessible to players, and instead of the right side of the map. It's such an infamously notoriously difficult choke to push through, and it's so defender heavy. It's just, it's just not fun. Like, you're walking up into a hill getting shot from every angle, and like if you accidentally peek the wrong spot, you're one shot by a widow, or like if your tank is again like a hog player or a Rhine player, like it's just so difficult to actually do it. And I think in 5v5 that actually got much harder to do. But yeah, no, so I just don't like Havana. It's crazy to me that map has not been, although I think it's getting reworked this season, maybe next season, I'm not mistaken, thankfully. We'll see what the new map team does with it. This one needs the most work out of all the maps, though, undoubtedly. Okay. I guess I'll rate Hanamura too. I didn't mind Hanamura. Hanamura B tier. It's not in the game. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Whatever. Same for Horizon. I'm putting it in C tier. It's not as bad as Paris was, but damn, it was close. So, yeah, Hollywood. I've got to put Hollywood in the same situation. Well, no, look, Hollywood's second. I'm going to put Hollywood A tier. Hollywood second to me is B tier, but Hollywood first and Hollywood third, I don't really mind pushing too much. There are a variety of options. Pushing third can be tough. You do have choices on first point to determine your setup. I don't mind Hollywood. I think it's a good map. Solid. The elevators and, excuse me, I got the hiccups. How that works on second can be a bit annoying, but, you know, I don't mind it. I think it's a good map. I don't load into Hollywood and think, damn, I load into Hollywood. I'm like, okay, I got Hollywood. I like that. I like that. I like Hollywood. Okay. Ilios. I think Ilios is an S tier map. I love well. Again, I did prefer it a little bit earlier in the game's life cycle, but I still think it's a good map. It didn't really fall off too hard. I've never once loaded into Ilios and been like, damn it, I got Ilios. This sucks. No, like, you know, there's a variety of playstyle options between Ruins, Lighthouse, and Well. Obviously, Lucio players love booping people into the Well. You can't boop tanks anymore, or actually, you can't really boop anybody in the Well anymore because every character in this game has a get-out-of-jail-free or mobility ability now. So, yeah, but I still like the map. I still think it's cool. A lot of fun stuff to do. Ilios, first S-tier map that we got. Junkertown, man, a fall off that needs to be studied. I preferred it. I honestly preferred Junkertown more in open queue, like Overwatch 1, than I did in roll queue or double shield or in 5v5 too. It's just for the exact same reasons that Dorado and Gibraltar are not as fun for me. Junkertown suffers the same fate. Look, Junkertown, it's mid. There are times where I load in and I'm like, oh, great. Okay, I have this tank and they have a Widow player. I'm going to have to go through. I'm going to have to cross the map by myself, go against two supports that can hard pocket this guy. And if I don't instantly one clip him, it's just going to be miserable for me. Like my gameplay loop is set. I can't really choose what I want to do. The map kind of forces me to play in a certain way. And I'm not a huge fan of that. So yeah, same reason as the other ones. Oh man, this is going to hurt me, guys. I'm sorry. King's Row fell off a bit too, man. Like, King's Row was peak because it was the Rhine Zarya map, man. It was the Classico. There was, like, always a fun exchange. Like, Scrims Row, man. Scrims Row. It was peak in OW1. But you don't really see those matchups anymore. Like, you know, like the classic Rhine Zaryas. And you could say it's nostalgia, sure. I just think that, again, it has a couple of those high grounds. Like, I think particularly first point as well as third point became way less fun to play in 5v5 because of those long sight lines that are harder to contest, and especially to get the wrong matchup. Like, you could create more opportunities in Overwatch 1 on King's Row because of a vulnerable front line, and it was easier to contest the oppressive heroes that could hold the angles in the back. It was like a perfect balance, and I think that's just swayed a little bit out of whack in this game. It's still a great map, but, you know, it just does. I think anybody who played Overwatch 1 will agree King's Row just doesn't hit the same now as it did in Overwatch 1. It's still a great map, but King's Row was an S-tier map. I think it kind of fell off, which really is sad to say. Okay, Lijiang. Still an S-tier map for me. Lijiang still super fun, plays the same. I get to explore my options, variety of comps you can pick on the map. Still super, super fun. No surprise, Lijiang S-tier map for me. Both the S-tiers actually costs. So we'll see. We'll keep it moving here. Oh, man. Midtown, dude. Midtown for a reason, man. I don't know. This map cannot be rated higher than A tier, or sorry, higher than B tier. And to be honest, I'm just putting it in C tier. It's just not fun. That first choke is not fun to push or hold. It's like usually a lot of these maps will be favored to one side, and like they'll be more fun for one side or the other. I don't have fun on Midtown. It's just not fun. Like, again, that first choke is like, it's I feel like it's a little bit more defender favorited, but I don't like defending it either. Like, it doesn't feel that much fun to defend. Second point offense just sucks, dude. It just sucks. It's so hard to wrap on top of that high ground, especially if your tank is not on the right tank that can actually hold and contest space. And then when you get under the bridge, like the long-range damage heroes can just hold way in the back at no risk, and it's like there's just no way to really close the distance to them. Then third point, it's the same thing. It's just these long, uncontestable lanes without options to actually flank consistently that are easily accessible. So it's just a one-dimensional, try to brute force your way through this choke. You know, and it's just, it looks good, but as times go, I don't load into Midtown excited that I got onto Midtown. I don't think the map's unplayable, but I don't enjoy playing it either. That's just my opinion. I would much rather play a King's Row. I would much rather play a Hollywood. I would much rather play an Eichenwald. I think Midtown might be the worst hybrid map in the game, but that's just my opinion. You'll feel free to agree and or disagree. Okay, here we go. Nepal. Another S-tier map. These Koth maps are so much fun to play. And the reason why I say that is there's a variety of options. There's a lot of times you can pick what you want. It's on you as a player to create your gameplay loop, right? And it's just, you have a lot of freedom of choice, it feels like, on these maps. And I feel like that's what makes Overwatch great. When you feel like you have freedom of choice, those maps create it the best. And so for me, that's why I'm going to rate them the highest. Love the Koth maps. They're awesome. New Queen Street. Okay, I'm gonna say B tier. It's not bad. It's just not great either. Like, I'm not loading into Queen Street and being happier. Like, I would have been like, oh, I wish I could have got one of these maps, you know. But like, I don't load in and be like, oh fuck. Like, I do say like, thank God it's not like Throne of Anubis or Circuit or Havana, right? Or Midtown. It's not the best push map, but it's not horrible either. So, you know, I'll give it a B tier, solid B. Numbani, for me, is probably in that same boat. I know people hate pushing Numbani first, but there are a variety of hero options you can play and a couple different angles and avenues that you can go for. It's just not easy to understand off the bat as a new player. But there definitely are some opportunities there. There's some strategy. It could be better, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not the worst in the game, in my opinion, either. There's a variety of options, so for me, I'll just say it's B tier. Second point is all right, you know. Third point is all right as well. That third point, again, it can be a bit harder to push in this game compared to Overwatch 1, where you could send an off tank to help you on the off angle to create some pinches. But, you know, hey, it's not a bad map. I've never been like a huge Numbani hater. Okay, Oasis. I'm going to say A tier. I almost want to put it in S tier, but I don't think it's quite there. I'd say it's a high A. I like Oasis. I love, there's the Reaper on the car strategy. There's the close range brawl map. And then there's that like little hybrid map that's like brawlish poke. You kind of do what you want. So yeah, I do like Oasis. I think it's a fun map. A lot of variety. Pretty cool. Good job on Oasis. All right. Paraiso. Dude, this map sucks. I'm sorry. I actually think Paraiso is worse than Midtown, and reminding myself that Paraiso's in the game makes me want to put Midtown in B tier, because Paraiso is fucking awful, man. I'm sorry. Like, pushing into every one of those points just feels like shit, man. It feels like shit. Like, first point, trying to push under that catwalk is not fun. It's not even that much fun to hold either. It's like awkward. It's like you're in a permanent state of like this really awkward fight. Then attacking on second point just sucks. I'm sorry. It sucks. There's no lane to go. It feels impossible to rotate your backline on the top left. God forbid you get the Hog player or one of those Rhine player or one of those tanks that just doesn't play a tank that can jump up to the high grounds. The game's just over if they have it, because their hit scan, their DPS will sit on the high ground uncontested and just lay into you from an advantage that you can't contest, because there's no alternate way to go. So that map, again, I feel like Skeeter on that map. I feel like I'm getting shot from every single angle that I can't contest. It's just bad map design. It's just, that map is just bad map design. Second point, Paraiso absolutely should get looked at, and just give us some alternative options somewhere to like contest an angle or make something happen, right? And it's just, That map is just not it. It's a worse version of Dorado. It's a worse version of like Numbani. It's a worse version of Hollywood Blizz World. It's just a blender. And then third point, again, the rotates can get kind of tough. I think third point's a bit better than second point, to be honest. It can be difficult to close out. Again, it's very easy, especially in 5v5 for a lot of these DPS heroes to just hold uncontestable angles where it's very difficult to close the distance on them. But I will say third point is definitely not the worst point. Second point, Paraiso in particular, is just awful. Third point gets a little bit better for sure. I would say third point definitely gets better, but second point is just so bad, and first point is so awkward. I gotta put that map in C tier. Just not it. I'm not even gonna speak on Paris. Horrible. Embarrassing. Anyway, Rialto. I preferred Rialto in Overwatch 1. I've got to put Rialto in B tier at best. At best is it B tier. Again, like trying to cross in these high grounds while you're just getting grilled, like feeling like Skeeter's not fun. It's just not. It's just not fun for anybody, man. So a beautiful map though. The boats are cool, fun mechanics in the river, very, very pretty. But I will say, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I used to like it a lot more. It's okay, but especially when you get like the Widowmakers or like the Torbs that just sit and post up way in the back on that defense on first. Or like, for example, when you're trying to cap first and the Widow just gets to sit in the spawn window on their first point spawn and she's uncontestable. Granted, this is more of a high rank problem than low rank problem. There's no, like, what the hell am I supposed to do to that? Pray she doesn't headshot us while I sit on the corner and can't walk anymore. It's a giant stalemate, right? So just for that exploit, like in particular, it's just, I gotta rate it B tier. I can't rate it higher than that. Very beautiful map though, pretty solid. Route 66, it's just mid. Like, it's not great, but it's not bad either. Third point can get awkward pushing. First point, you have options to get around gas station. And then, like, it's just, it can be awkward, but it's not a bad map. It's okay. We'll say Route 66 is okay. Volskaya, B tier, not going to elaborate. 2 CP's gone, no point. Esperanza. That's Esperanza, right? Yeah, it is. I love this map. I almost want to put it in S tier. I think it's a beautiful map. I think it plays well. The high grounds aren't as awkward. There are rotates you can do, but there are a couple times like when right after you cap first, I can't put it in S tier because after you cap first point, right, your first like forward spawn, when you have to push and they're holding that high ground, if you don't have a great comp for it, it's just really unfun. So outside of that, you know, that's definitely a flaw the original push maps had. I think the map's great. I do. I think the map's really, really fun. It plays well. It's pretty. I enjoy playing it. There's a couple rotates I have. I feel like I have options. But it definitely has its awkward moments for sure. I'm not going to deny that. I just like the map because of the rotates I can do. Okay. Is that Shambali? Yeah. I can't in good faith rate Shambali higher than B tier. Again, it's just those high grounds that are so hard to contest. Like if you get the wrong matchup, you're just chalked, really. You can't hold space that well. It's a pretty map. I think I had it in A tier when it first came out, but it definitely aged a little bit worse than I thought. It's certainly not one of the worst maps in the game, but like when I load into Shambali, I'm definitely thinking, damn, I wish I had loaded into a slightly better map. So it's not horrible, but it's not great either. So I'll put that middle of the pack. It's perfect for the mid tier. Perfect. Now, is that Antarctica? What is that? That's got to be Antarctica. I'm just going to say this is Antarctica. I can't quite tell exactly what it is. I'm going to say A tier. You know, I like Antarctica. I think the maps aren't that bad. The high grounds aren't that oppressive. Like, I feel like I have options, right? You know, I have options on that sub level. The outdoor one, I have options on. And what's the third one? Why am I brain for? Oh, yeah. You know what? Actually, yeah. And then there's that other. Yeah. Antarctica's solid. I think it's a good map. I would say Antarctica's good. I think they really did well on the Koth maps in Overwatch 2. I think that's where they really excel as map designers. I think the Koth maps need the least amount of work. And I would say the hybrids or escorts need the most amount of work. They have kind of figured out push, which we will get to. I think Rune Sapi should be on here somewhere. It's not. Rune Sapi's not on here. Let's talk about Rune Sapi. I would say Rune Sapi, I think I'm pronouncing that right, not sure. I honestly would say it's kind of, it's B plus or A minus. No, actually, you know what? I think it's a little bit better than that. I like that map. The chokes can get tough when you're about to cap. The neutral on first fight's good. but it's there are high grounds that can be difficult, but like I have like the stairs that you can walk up give you an option, right? And the play, like you have options. So I would say Runasapi. Maybe I'm saying that right. I'm not sure. I would give it A- is what I would say. So that's where I put Runasapi. Okay, Servasa. After putting Antarctica in A tier. These maps they're all right. You know, I would say middle of the pack, B plus ish. I would say that for both Servasa and New Junk City. Yeah, I would say both of those Flashpoint maps are B tier. You know, they're not. It's not a bad mode. It's not. I'd say I would describe them as solid. Each of them are solid maps. Definitely like, I know. I was like, okay, there's a couple better maps you could get, but there's a way worse maps you get. So I embrace both New Junk City and Runasapi. Okay. Samoa. I like Samoa too, dude. I'm going to say Samoa is A tier. I think they've done a great job with the Koth maps. Each of them have variety. They have strategy. They're not oppressive to play. I think all the Koth maps they made are all really solid, and they should be pretty happy with those. Then Hanaoka. Mid, I would say at best. I think Clash ended up being mid, I would say. I would say mid maps. So, yeah, okay. That is my official map tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Were there ones that you agreed with, ones that you disagreed with? I think there's a pretty common theme here about the ones that I personally like and the ones that I personally don't, but I'm curious what you guys think about all of these. I think they've nailed the Koth. I think they've gotten much better at push. I think Hybrid and Escort need the most work. And I would say the Flashpoint maps are pretty solid indeed. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to check out my Patreon down in the description. There's a ton of hero guides and personalized coaching sessions that you will get access to immediately, as well as the Locker Room Discord. That can get you in contact with me. We can talk in the town square. So yeah, it'll be cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support. And I love you guys. I'll see y'all next time. Take care. Peace out.